Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be ranking all the perks within Call of Duty Zombies. I will be ranking all the perks from specifically World at War all the way to Black Ops Cold War. I am not going to be doing Vanguard or Modern Warfare 3 just because personally I've never played those games because I don't like them, and I feel like it would be unfair if I ranked something I've never actually used. This list is solely my opinion, but the main factor about whether or not I'm going to like a perk and rank it up highly on the list is whether or not it allows me to be able to survive easier. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, please by the end drop a like, subscribe if you are new, and if you guys want to see a particular ranking video or Call of Duty Zombies video in general, just let me know via the comment section down below. But with all that being said guys, let's rank all the perks in Call of Duty Zombies. Now, at the very bottom of the list, this is essentially going to be a two-way tie because both of these perks are ungodly bad, and they're bad for completely different reasons, so you guys can be the judge of whether or not you like one better than the other, but I'm going to be putting these essentially back to back. This is going to be World at War's Quick Revive and PC Black Ops 1 Deadshot. So now you are asking the reasonable question about why are these the worst perks in COD Zombies? So let's talk about Deadshot first. Deadshot is a completely different perk on console in comparison to PC. Essentially what the perk is supposed to do is give you auto-aim to the head, therefore allowing you to be able to kill zombies quicker because you're essentially just getting nothing but headshots. However, on PC specifically, auto-aim does not exist, at least without a controller. So if you were using mouse and keyboard, Deadshot does not give you aim assist to the head. So, how does the perk justify its own existence on PC? Well, what it does, and it's very insignificant, is it just gives you a tighter hipfire spread. That is all. And the reason why World at War's Quick Revive is here is because this perk does not work in solo whatsoever. It is only the co-op variant. So if you down in solo with Quick Revive, you still lose and die. So you guys can see why that I and several other people do not like these perks, because they are essentially useless and barely help you whatsoever. Now, obviously this is going to be in their worst possible state. What about the best case scenario? Now, in the best case scenario, it really doesn't change all that much. Let's say that you play co-op with Quick Revive. Sure, you get the rezzing effect that does justify the perk's existence, but it was so much better when they converted it to also work in solo within Black Ops 1. And then PC Deadshot, if you were to play with Deadshot on console, sure you would get the aim assist, sure it justifies the perk more, but still, it barely does anything. It doesn't give you more damage, it literally just changes where you shoot, and the headshot multiplier in later rounds doesn't really matter as much. You're going to notice that throughout this entire list, there's going to be subcategories of essentially the same perk because it gets tweaked over time. So at the end of the day, looking at the original Quick Revive and the original Deadshot, I would have to say if I had to pick one, Deadshot is worse because Deadshot literally doesn't help, whereas Quick Revive is useful in co-op. Alright, so coming into the next spot, this is going to be Double Tap 1.0 from World at War and Black Ops 1. Back in World at War and in Black Ops 1, Double Tap was basically useless. It was just as useless as Quick Revive in World at War, honestly. And the main reason for this is because Double Tap 1.0 resulted in you losing and wasting ammo. All it did was result in you shooting your gun faster, which doesn't sound like a bad thing, but the thing is though is that you would shoot way too quickly and you would end up sometimes shooting a zombie after it was already dead, so you're basically wasting bullets on nothing, and therefore you were essentially losing ammo. The only guns that Double Tap really mattered for was anything that shot slowly, that you had to pump, cock, or basically chamber around. But most players use automatic weaponry anyways, so Double Tap only works for a niche set of players. Okay, coming in at our next spot here on the list, this is going to end up being Electric Burst from Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4 had a massive problem with its perks because the whole objective of the game was to try to remove crutch perks, and instead all it did was just create more crutch perks. And one of those non-crutch perks, one of the most useless ones, is going to be Electric Burst, which is the equivalent of Electric Cherry for Black Ops 4. It essentially has the same function. You reload, you shock nearby zombies. But unlike the actual Electric Cherry, this is a neutered version of that same perk. It doesn't do anything for you. Now yes, I understand that this perk is not like meant to kill things, but I'm trying to give example gameplay of showing you guys like them getting stunned, but this doesn't stun the zombies the way I was hoping it would. Normal Electric Cherry would stun zombies and basically give you like a window of a second or two to be able to escape, but it feels like this perk does nothing to help you escape when you're like pinched in a corner or something. And now, yes, I also do understand that all the Black Ops 4 perks, if you put them in a certain perk slot, you get a modifier which does give them a small buff and make them stronger, but you guys can see that this perk is already beyond saving because even without the modifier, it just doesn't do anything. Next for the list is Who's Who from Dire Eyes. Now, the gameplay of the perk is going to look familiar to you if you are a fan of the newer Call of Duties, such as Black Ops Cold War, because essentially, Tombstone from Cold War takes inspiration from Who's Who in Dire Eyes. But this was a shittier version of that perk, because this perk has a lot of issues unlike modern Tombstone. This perk has the same idea with essentially trying to let you res yourself while you are down in a ghost-like state, but you don't get to keep any of your perks or any of your guns, and you just get an M1911, and you have to still be able to revive yourself on whatever round you're on going up against the zombies. So basically, it's the equivalent of when you would end up respawning in a co-op game with nothing on a high round, and the game essentially says, good luck. You are much better off just having quick revive and only using that. Next on the list is Black Ops 2's Tombstone. Now, when I'm referring to Tombstone for Black Ops 2, I am talking about specifically using it only for town. So you can obviously see where this one is going. I basically use Tombstone just to end up glitching on town so I can get all the perks. And that's what I'm pretty sure a majority of all of us did back in the day. If I had to rank Tombstone for the way it is in transit, I can't really justify this spot and would actually bump it down a peg and put it before Who's Who from Dire Eyes, because at least in solo, and for the intended purpose of that perk, it would be slightly different. Tombstone is a co-op only perk, so unless you're playing transit with multiple people, you literally can't even get the perk anyways. And if you do manage to even get a co-op game and do manage to end up picking up Tombstone, you're probably still not going to be able to have fun with it. Next in the list is Blaze Phase from Black Ops 4. This perk is so forgettable, I actually had to go back and talk about it in the video. Like, this part is actually recorded hours later in comparison to the part you just watched or the part you're going to watch, because I forgot to include this perk in the list. It's that forgettable. I don't like Blaze Phase, and neither should you, and the reason why is because this perk is clunky AF. So the way that this perk works is that if you end up getting it, if you crouch, your character will start to shoot out fire from their feet. And what you do is that if you end up crouching and then standing up, you will be able to fling yourself with said fire, and you'll be able to launch yourself into zombies and kill them. It's like a botched, clunky version of PhD Slider. And I don't know if Treyarch intended for this to happen, because if not, this is a massive oversight. The problem is with this perk is that if you end up launching into a horde of zombies and don't kill everything, you are crouched and in an awkward position right in front of a horde of zombies that can just slap you repeatedly until you die. You are in a bad situation with this perk because you're putting yourself in vulnerable situations. BO4 Death Perception. So this perk essentially does the exact same thing that it does in Cold War, which its main feature is you can just see zombies through walls. And I understand why this perk exists, but it's really only helpful for new players. Depth perception is like training wheels on a bicycle. Sure, it's helpful in the early stages, but after you've gotten good enough, you eventually have to let go and take a risk, and once you do that, there's really no looking back and you don't need it anymore. Next is Deadshot Dealer from Black Ops 4. This is Black Ops 4's equivalent of Deadshot Daiquiri, and just like Deadshot Daiquiri, it's just really not that good. Sure, it's better than the original Deadshot because it does give you some added benefits, but I'm going to read off those benefits to you and you let me know if you actually think that this perk is good. Deadshot Dealer allows the player to be able to snap to the enemy's head, reduces the hipfire spread, reduces weapon recoil when firing, and also removes scope sway. For those of you that doesn't think that sounds that bad, I need to explain a couple things. Number one, I need to remind you guys that on PC, there is no aim assist, so the first functionality about having auto-aim going straight to the head, for PC players, that doesn't even work, so that's already one problem with this perk. The second thing that it also does, all it does is just increase hipfire accuracy. That's what the original Deadshot was trying to make up for since it didn't work on PC. So basically, so far this is sounding exactly like the original Deadshot. The third thing is that you get reduced recoil. Now, even though that does sound nice and could be beneficial to you, this is something that might only be beneficial to you if you're trying to prestige, because in Black Ops 4, you can equip attachments to most of the guns. So one of those attachments is things that reduce recoil, such as grips. Why would you waste your slot on a perk that can do that when you can do it for an attachment and just get another perk altogether? And the last thing is reducing scope sway, which is only useful pretty much on sniper rifles, and nobody uses sniper rifles in COD Zombies, so you can see why the perk is basically useless. Now, you might think that the next perk I'm talking about here is going to be like either Blaze Phase or Bandolier Bandit or something like that, but I'm actually going to be talking about a perk that you might not have been aware of that I've been using in this gameplay so far, which is going to be called Secret Sauce. And no, I'm not talking about that Secret Sauce, you perverts. Secret Sauce, when it comes to Black Ops 4, is going to be a perk that allows you to be able to get another perk just completely at random. So it's basically the Wonder Fizz machine as a perk, which in Black Ops 4, that's kind of pointless because the whole idea of Black Ops 4 was to have more customizable perks. So why would you intentionally rock a perk that would handicap you and make the game harder by giving you a randomly assigned perk? Now, I understand that, yes, this perk also does allow you to be able to just keep cycling it in and out until you do get the perk you want, but if you think about it, that's extra stupid because that goes against the whole purpose of it being random. If you're just going to spin it repeatedly until you get the perk that you would have wanted anyways, just don't even bother running the fucking perk. Next is going to be Zombshell from also in Black Ops 4. Now, what this perk does is that if you end up killing a zombie, sometimes there will be this cloud, if you will, a misty cloud that will pop up randomly that will affect you and also the zombies. It sounds similar to Vulture's Aid, but let me explain it a little bit more in depth because it's not what you think. This cloud that spawns in gives you an increased amount of damage if you step into it, and also slows zombies down. Sounds cool and all until you realize how infrequent this works and how subtle the effect is. It took me roughly about 30 seconds to a minute before this perk even did its main ability, and you can see that it blends in too well with the environment sometimes, this sparkly yellow cloud thing. And sure, it slows zombies and gives me a damage buff, but then it just goes away like 5 seconds later. It's too infrequent for me to justify using it. Next is going to be Mule Kick, and I'm going to include all the Mule Kicks from Black Ops 1 all the way to Black Ops 4, except for Cold War, because we're going to talk about that one a little bit later, but for pretty much a majority of the Black Ops series, Mule Kick has never really been the best perk. This essentially allows you to be able to just carry one extra primary weapon, and that's its main focal point. But if you downed and lost Mule Kick, you also lost the third gun that you acquired when you bought the perk, which handicaps you massively, especially if that third gun was your best gun. At least the good news is, for specifically Black Ops 4, unlike the first 3 Black Ops games, they did eventually fix this issue where if you ran Mule Kick in your modifier slot, had you downed, you could buy Mule Kick back and also get your third gun back, so you didn't need to hit the mystery box again and spin for it, which was really, really nice. But even after all of that, I just don't think Mule Kick is a popular perk in general. Next is Stone Cold Stronghold, which this perk is much better in comparison to the ones we've talked about so far. When you use it, it spawns in a blue circle on the ground, and if you kill zombies inside of that said circle, you get damage buffs and armor buffs, which is really great. This is a really nice perk, but you can only use it essentially for camping. I have always found it very hard to camp within Black Ops 4, so you really can only use this for, once again, a niche set of players in niche circumstances. So I would feel like this would be best if you're trying to only go for semi-high rounds and you're playing with your buddies. Next is going to be Cold War's Depth Perception perk. Now, in Cold War, they buff this perk a lot. Now, you do have to upgrade to level 5 to get really the maximum amount of benefits for this perk, but that's kind of all of Cold War in general, so it's not too big of a worry. So let's talk about what the Cold War version of this perk does when you fully have maxed it out. The mini-map, because there's a mini-map in Cold War, even though it's kind of pointless, but that's besides the point, the mini-map update rate is increased. That is Tier 1. Tier 2 gives a damage indicator for when an enemy is behind you. So this is like a Sixth Sense perk, which is really, really nice because I don't necessarily need to see the zombies coming at me from miles away through walls and buildings, but it would be really nice to know if one's behind me about to kill me when I'm really low on health. Tier 3, I can gain more loot, and I can also get higher level grade salvage. That is incredible for armor. And speaking of armor, with Tier 4, I can be able to shoot through armored zombies 25% easier than if I didn't have the perk, which is really neat. And also, nearby chests, resources, and drop rate is going to be keylined through walls. Essentially, it is like Cold War's version of Vulture's Aid, which is really neat. This perk got a massive buff in Cold War because literally in Black Ops 4 all it did was just let you see through walls. So I would say that even though this is not necessarily the best perk in general, you should still get it anyways because it is helpful, and there's also no perk cap in Cold War anyways, so why not? Now we have Ethereal Razor. This is also another perk that's in Black Ops 4. Now what this perk does is that it makes it so that way your knife does more damage and you can be able to swipe more zombies in one melee attack than you normally would be able to had you not had this perk. This perk is very hard to rank because on one hand, if you want to use it in its best case scenario, it's a really strong perk. You can do something absurd like go onto Alpha Omega with a ballistic knife and just this perk and get to round 100 easily because you can just kill zombies with meleeing them left and right and just go on forever. But other than that little niche specific scenario, you really don't need this perk because how often are you realistically going to be knifing in COD zombies, you know what I mean? Now we have Bloodwolf Bite. Now this is going to be the most ridiculous perk probably so far throughout the video. Believe it or not, if you do a certain amount of damage while you have this perk equipped, a wolf will spawn in and start killing the zombies for you. You get your own personal hellhound essentially while rocking this perk, which is pretty crazy. It's a nice perk, but I feel like that the wolf could spawn in more often. Really the reason why it's even placed this high on the list is because there is a glitch with it you can do that allows you to essentially get unlimited ammo, but that's really just only acknowledging it. I don't actually do that strategy myself because I don't try to glitch for my high rounds and zombies. I try to do as legitimately as I can, so Bloodwolf Bite, for its one useful feature, which is technically cheating, is no benefit to me. Now we have got Bandolier Bandit. In a nutshell, this just gives you more ammunition, which is really helpful in COD Zombies because max ammos can sometimes be scarce, and when you need ammo and you need ammo bad, this perk will help you out a lot. It basically just gives you more reserved ammo, or in other words, it's very similar to that one scrapped perk that was in World at War that was supposed to be called Ammo-matic, which upon buying it would allow you to spawn in max ammos, but this makes more sense because instead of spawning in drops, it just gives you the ammo flat outright. This, my friends, is what you call a really solid perk. Next is Time Slip. Now, very similar to Bandolier Bandit, it's going to sound pretty simple in nature, but the perk does a lot and is very beneficial to you despite sounding simple. If you rock this perk, especially in your modifier slot where it has its maximum strength, the perk shortens your cooldown speed for all of your equipment, your elixirs, and also your specialist abilities, therefore allowing you to be able to use them again much sooner and basically go back to spamming them as you intended probably. I don't necessarily think a lot of people would put this perk as high as I did, maybe it's just a niche for me, but this fits my playstyle and that's why I'm putting it higher on the list for me personally. Next is Stamina Up. Stamina Up is definitely one of my favorite perks in all COD Zombies. The ability to just run faster and be able to navigate the map easier is something that I really truly do love. I hate being slowed down, and I really hate my character getting winded and exhausted like every 5 seconds. It's the most annoying and frustrating thing imaginable. I am so glad it is starting to get phased out of modern gaming because running at the speed of an arthritic turtle is not fun gaming design. Next is Electric Cherry from Black Ops 2. Not that crap from Black Ops 4, but the one from Black Ops 2. And this perk is so good, especially on Mob of the Dead, where if you're really in a situation where you feel like you're going to die, if you really are desperate, you can just reload your gun and stun the zombies for the slightest bit of time and be able to allow yourself an out so you can be able to escape. I swear that Electric Cherry in Black Ops 2 specifically worked better and more often than it did in any other COD Zombies game. And dropping the perk with Mob of the Dead was the best combo for a perk and a new map release, honestly, ever. Every other map that has had Electric Cherry doesn't feel the same. Maybe it's because Mob of the Dead is a cramped-ass map, and this perk suits cramped-ass maps, but I swear to God they must have nerfed Electric Cherry and just didn't tell us at some point because the perk just never felt the same. Next is going to be Black Ops 4's version of PhD Slider. In Black Ops 4, I can only think of one scenario where you would want to use PhD Slider, and that's using the Helion Salvo, because that is statistically the best weapon in all of Black Ops 4. But if you don't want to use the Helion Salvo, or you really don't want to go for high rounds, you should rock a different perk instead, because this is not going to suit you for what you're trying to achieve. you don't need to really run this perk unless you want to go for high rounds, and specifically using the Helion salvo to do it. Next is Speed Cola, because it speeds up your life. The original Speed Cola is one of the OGs. Everyone rocks Speed Cola, everyone loves Speed Cola. It's a good perk. It has never been bad in any capacity. Speed Cola is so popular that when they tried to remove it in Black Ops 4, there was such backlash that they included it as a secret bonus perk you could get, where if you got all 4 of your main perks, you would also get Speed Cola. That is why you're able to reload faster all of a sudden when you have all your perks in Black Ops 4. Speed Cola is one of the OGs, and I'm forever gonna love this perk. Next is Cold War's Tombstone. In a hot takes video, I said how I actually really did love Cold War's version of Tombstone because it basically took Who's Who and original Tombstone from Black Ops 2 and combined them and actually made them into a worthwhile perk. Look at all these different effects that you could get for this damn perk. It's incredible. If you end up playing Cold War, you should pick it up because it allows you to be able to get a second chance and get all your shit back. Yes, I understand that you don't get to keep everything, but Cold War is honestly to God so easy that getting set back up again is not an issue. Imagine if this is how original Tombstone would have functioned back in Black Ops 2. People would have been saying it was the best perk ever. Next is going to be Elemental Pop. Now, Elemental Pop gives you the abilities that you would get from pack-a-punching one of your guns, but as a perk. So I could get, like, turned or brain rot when I shoot a zombie for my Elemental Pop, even though my gun may or may not be pack-a-punched. Elemental Pop is like a cheat code for Pack-a-Punch. Not that Pack-a-Punching is difficult in Cold War, but if you just didn't want to Pack-a-Punch, or you're for whatever reason having a bad game and can't Pack-a-Punch successfully, you can just get Elemental Pop instead and still reap the benefits. Next is going to be Deadshot from Cold War. Now, I don't know what it is, but Deadshot in Black Ops Cold War, in comparison to BO1, 2, 3, and 4, is much better to use and is more sustainable to use. In Black Ops Cold War, Deadshot reduces weapon spread by 35%, which I think is the difference that I'm noticing. And get this, the perk completely reduces weapon sway, which means that if you're aiming down sights, your gun's not going to be swinging back and forth left to right, meaning you can be more accurate and shoot things easier. I think the biggest difference here is that instead of nerfing things, they more rather just completely removed the things that were annoying about the other versions of Deadshot Daiquiri. Instead of giving us a completely different ability on PC compared to console, or just minorly reducing inconveniences such as recoil, they just completely got rid of them and actually made the perk function as intended. I wonder why the perk is all of a sudden good. So now we have finally gotten to PhD from Black Ops 1. Now, PhD in Black Ops 1 was the original. You don't have sliding in this game, you have dolphin diving. So PhD, of course, gives you the flop ability, where if you end up dolphin diving, you cause this massive explosion, and you also have no damage taken from explosives, which made the Mustang and Sally one of the best weapons in the entire game. Now, in Black Ops 2, we were begging and pleading for this perk to come back, and would have been great in certain maps such as Die Rise, but all they ever did was just tease us and never gave us the perk until Origins, where they didn't even have Mustang and Sally anyways, and so the perk pretty much was not needed anymore. And in Black Ops 3, there was no type of PhD whatsoever, we only at the most got a Gobblegum, which nobody used. It wasn't until Black Ops 4 we got PhD Slider, which is honestly not as good as the original PhD in my opinion. I think the original is still the best. Well, at least until we get to PhD Slider from Cold War. But why do people love PhD from Black Ops 1 specifically so much? Well, because Black Ops 1 worked really well with PhD. They basically were a perfect partnership because every single thing that was in Black Ops 1 Zombies kept PhD in mind. Maps like Ascension have perfect spots so you can be able to cause explosions with PhD Flopper. Certain maps such as Shangri-La have the zombies, like the napalm zombies, that can really do a lot of damage to you if you're not rocking PhD. And if you rock PhD, you can be able to pretty much negate any of the napalm zombies' fire damage and be able to keep yourself alive much longer, which is why I don't like Shangri-La in Black Ops 3 as much, because PhD's not there. These are just a couple of examples about why PhD works so well in Black Ops 1. Next is Speed Cola from Black Ops Cold War. This is just basically Speed Cola on steroids because everything about it is better. You spin the box faster, you repair barriers faster, you get your field upgrades faster. Basically the only thing you don't do faster is run because that goes to stamina up, but everything speed related is a part of Speed Cola in Black Ops Cold War. If you are a fan of fast-paced action and not waiting around just lollygagging like how I do, you'll want to pick up Speed Cola because it makes the game quicker. Now we have got Vulture's Aid from Black Ops 2. God, I miss this perk so much. I hope that one day the original Vulture's Aid will come back. I don't know if it will because a lot of its abilities are tied to depth perception, but I could see both end up coexisting, and being really good coexisting, because can you imagine if Vulture's Aid was in Black Ops Cold War? That'd be so fun, because you would be able to see everything everywhere in the map at all times. That was one of my favorite parts about Vulture's Aid, just knowing where everything is. It prevented me from getting lost. I don't necessarily need to know where the zombies are, but I would love to know where the mystery box is. I would love to know where a certain perk I'm looking for is. I would love to just know where everything is without having to use the compass or the mini-map system like that COD is trying to get me to do. It baffles me how this perk is still yet to come back, because Tombstone and Cold War is like Tombstone and Who's Who put together, and then there's Electro Cherry that came back ever since Black Ops 3, and then you get Vulture's Aid that's never left buried, like, but why? Next is Victorious Tortoise. Now, because Black Ops 4 does not have Juggernog, this is going to be your Juggernog substitute, if you will. So if you rock Victorious Tortoise in your modifier slot, and you have a Riot Shield, your Riot Shield will now protect you from every single direction. Your Riot Shield will now work in 360 degrees, an entire circle, meaning you can't be attacked from anywhere and not be protected, at least in some capacity. As long as you keep an eye on your Riot Shield's health and don't let it break, this will allow you to be able to tank some extra hits so that way a zombie does not gangbang you and get you killed in an unfair manner. Now we have got Black Ops Cold War's Mule Kick. This is where we start to get into the really, really good perks. So just like in Black Ops 4, if you lose a gun that you got with Mule Kick, if you rebuy Mule Kick, you'll get the gun back, but you don't have to put in some weird modifier slot, and there's also no perk limit, so it really doesn't feel like it's a handicap to you. And Mule Kick this time around does some other cool things, such as, for example, if you throw a piece of equipment, you have a 25% chance on just having it come back and giving you another one as if you didn't throw it. So if you have like a monkey bomb, you can get another monkey bomb just for free. If your gun's also stowed away in your backpack, it can also start to regen ammo from its reserve by just simply you putting it away. You can also have zombies drop ammo. It just keeps getting better and better. This perk allows you to essentially be able to get free shit for just having it in your inventory. If you've been paying close attention to the list, you'll notice how that all the perks at the bottom are perks that have some sort of negative consequence for having it, and then everything that's at the top has nothing but gains. Now I have got PhD Slider. PhD Slider is the best version of PhD. You don't take explosive damage. You get this slide ability that feels a lot like the perk Banana Colada, which was a custom perk that somebody invented for Black Ops 3 way back in the day, and it one-shots until very high rounds. And PhD Slider is something that allows you to be able to also take no fall damage. And in addition to taking no fall damage, if you jump off from a certain height, like an Outbreak, you cause an explosion just by falling from the sky. You're basically a falling nuke. And if you stack this with Stamina, you are going to go so fast that you could probably navigate the entire Outbreak map in less than a few minutes. OG Quick Revive. The fact that this perk has lasted this far into the list shows you how goated this perk is. Everybody gets Quick Revive in solo. It's all reliable. It allows you to be able to have an out if you end up making a mistake. You get another chance and be able to continue your game, and you can at least do this 3 times before the game stops you. There's really nothing else to say. I mean, honestly, this is the man, the myth, the legend, Quick Revive. Next is Cold War Stamina. If it's not Quick Revive and it's not Juggernog, I am getting Stamina out of all my perks in Cold War first. Like I said, unlimited sprint and being able to navigate the map faster is something that is not as truly appreciated as it could be in modern gaming. If you don't want to run around as fast as you can, that's fine, I understand, but I want to be able to get around the map just like that. I don't want to be handicapped. Next is the Rootin'ous Tootin'ous Cowboys perk, Double Tap the Second. Look at the difference between Double Tap 1 and Double Tap 2. Double Tap 1 was in the bottom 3, and now, a half an hour later almost, it took us to get to the second double tap. That's how much better the second double tap is. And the reason why it's better is because instead of shooting your bullets faster, it actually doubles your bullets. So for every 1 bullet you shoot 2 bullets. So therefore you're technically dumping out more ammo, but without wasting ammo, making therefore your gun technically stronger as if it was pretty much mildly pack-a-punched. Next we have got Cold War's Quick Revive. Now, Cold War's Quick Revive, I love a lot of things about it, but I do have one gripe with it that I just want to point out real quick, is that I don't like how that they reverted it back to the co-op only variant in solo, just like how it used to function in World at War. In Cold War now, you have to get a self-revive in order to revive yourself. Quick Revive does not do that for you anymore, which I think is kind of silly because it was like that on launch and then they changed it. So that was intentional this time, which that's not necessary. I think that that's dumb, and I hope that they pull that decision back for the next game, because Quick Revive, in my opinion, is the solo reviving perk, not a piece of equipment. So give that back to Quick Revive, please. Other than that little gripe, I do love all of its other abilities. So for example, in Cold War, if you were playing a co-op game, the perk is basically a must, because you can revive teammates so much quicker, and it gives them an out. It allows them to be able to run around the map quicker as soon as they end up getting back up, allowing them to be able to run away from the zombies and get their stuff back. It also gives you, in general, just better health regeneration speed, so it's kind of like the ICU perk from multiplayer, where if you got shot, you would get your health back much faster, and this allows you to stay in the game. You don't have to run away and retreat, you can just stay in the fight. So other than my one little grievance with Quick Revive and Cold War, I still like the perk. Next is Juggernog. Now, before you call blasphemy, I'm referring to old Juggernog. Cold War Juggernog is still separate on the list, so please do not kill me. I am just talking about OG Juggernog here. Juggernog is one of the best perks ever. I acknowledge that, and I will always agree with you that it is somewhere in the top 10, but it's not the best anymore. And I do believe that there is some perks that Juggernog can pass the torch to because I think that they deserve it. But at least talking about Juggernog and all the best qualities that it has, it's deserving of being high up on the list because it literally is one of the best perks for survivability in the entire franchise. You just flat out get more health. Why would you willingly choose to go down in 2 or 3 hits when you could choose to go down in 4 or 5? Juggernog just makes sense. However, with that being said, let's take a look at the only few perks that are left and why I think that some of them do happen to end up being better than old school Jug. Next in the list is Winter's Wail. Now this perk used to be dog shit back when it first released, but when Black Ops 4 ended, the perk became one of the best in the entire game. It is Widow's Wine of Black Ops 4. You get 3 little freezing abilities that you get on your character that allow you to be able to kill and stun zombies that touch you, just like Widow's Wine used to do back in Black Ops 3. So instead of spider grenades, you just get ice powers. But it does the same thing essentially, which is if anything in the game touches you, it stuns itself, giving you all the time in the world to be able to react and kill the threat accordingly. No BS surprise deaths, no jump scares, just allowing you to be able to take things at your own leisure. It's amazing. Next is going to be Winter's Wail's older sister, Widow's Wine. Widow's Wine I like a little bit better than Winter's Wail because of the fact that you can disable Widow's Wine whenever you want. In situations where you don't want the last zombie to die, such as in an Easter egg, if you're worried about getting the zombie killed, you can just throw away the Widow's Wine's grenades. You don't have to keep them. Perks like Winter's Wail is not as easy because you can't disable the feature. With Widow's Wine, you can. And when you're not trying to save a zombie, but just survive, this perk will help you survive because it goes off all the time. It doesn't have some stupid cooldown where they try to balance it and make it where it's nerfed one day and then it's not the next day and then it is again and then it's not again. The perk has, ever since launch, been always good, and you will go to the highest round possible as long as you've got the skill for it with this perk. Now, believe it or not, this is not the end of the list, because even though Juggernog from Cold War is up next, it's not the last perk left. I think that Juggernog from Cold War is the second best perk in all of COD Zombies. So bear with me, I will explain why. My reason for why Cold War's Juggernog is not the #1 perk is because of one main reason. Is because the games have gotten so much easier and we've got things like the armor system in place now, it's gotten to the point where Juggernog is simply not needed as much anymore. It is not as much of a crutch perk as it used to be. Yes, it's not good to just remove it altogether like how they try to do in Black Ops 4, but it's not like that you're going to die if you don't have Juggernog immediately. Cold War is one of the easiest COD Zombies games that we have ever had. You get things like kill streaks. You can be able to buy ammo from anywhere in the map with these ammo boxes. The game flat out tells you now where some parts are for things such as the Wonder Weapon or how to progress just to unlock the map in general. You don't need to have Juggernog anymore. Now, with that being the case, then what is my favorite perk, or what I think is the best perk in Call of Duty Zombies? Well, my friends, the best perk in Call of Duty Zombies, in my humble opinion, is Dying Wish from Black Ops 4. For those that don't know what this perk does, let me explain. This perk in Black Ops 4 makes you invincible. I'm not joking. You become invincible with this perk. If a zombie or anything in the game damages you to the point where you would normally die, and this perk kicks in, you will end up being invincible for a few seconds and be at 1 HP, giving you a second chance and the zombie or whatever was attacking you the equivalent of the middle finger, because they can't do anything to you. You can run away and then come back when you're ready, so that way you are able to fight the zombie or whatever is attacking you on your terms, not their terms. In comparison to every other perk that we have talked about for the last 30 minutes, why would you pick any other one other than the one perk that makes you invincible? You can't die. The perk doesn't give you some fancy flashy ability. You just become Jesus Christ. You cannot die. It's ridiculous. This perk is busted. Imagine how the zombies feel. Think about it this way. What if this perk was in grief mode back in the day in Black Ops 2? Or what if there was just grief in general in Black Ops 4 and the survivors could have this perk? Everyone on the zombies team would rage quit. So that is why I think that despite all the other perks that we've talked about having their own unique abilities and being justifiable in certain scenarios, and some more than others, Dying Wish from Black Ops 4 is the best perk we have ever had in COD Zombies. But yeah, guys, that is going to be here for today's video, and I do truly hope you guys ended up enjoying it. If you did, before you guys take off, please drop a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. This video took me literally all day. It took me over 8 hours to create for you, so please show your support. It is tremendously appreciated. If you guys want to see a certain Zombies ranking video in the future, just let me know via the comments. But with all that being said, guys, I truly hope you end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTubers you're ever going to see. Thanks for watching, guys. I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords. Jesus here. And you better have enjoyed that video there by the eternal god Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!